These are happy days and very busy days for harvester driver John Guglielmi and the Sundown harvesting haul-out crew. Innisfail hasn't seen a harvest of this size in many a season, and there's a race against the clock to get it off and on its way to the South Johnston mill before Christmas and the onset of the wet season.
Yeah, the yields have been fantastic this year. For the last month I've been cutting about 120 tonne of the hectare everywhere I've cut, and I think as a group we're averaging almost 100 tonne of the hectare, so it's been very good. We haven't seen a year like this for quite a long time.
For a district that's had the very worst Mother Nature can dish out in recent years, the sight of a bumper crop being binned out and next season's already thriving is a welcome one for Steve Austin and Sam Spina, partners in Sundown harvesting. The cooperative farming group has endured a slow road back from the effects of Cyclone Larry in 2006, a La Nina event which crippled the 2010 harvest, and then Cyclone Yasi in 2011.
We started a bit slow at the beginning, a bit of rain. It kind of put a big damper on the beginning of the year. And we've had actually a little bit of rain nearly all year, little bits here and there. And it's made the cane keep growing. In this area here at the moment, it's averaging, I think in the last week, the harvest has been cutting about average of 50 tonne an acre. In a normal year, you might get the odd paddock that went 50 tonne an acre, not an average.
Observing the industry recovery from the driver's seat of a harvester, John knows better than most what an effort it's been to turn things around. It's taken a full 5-year crop cycle, substantial capital investment and bucket loads of sweat to return farms to productivity in what continues to be an all-of-industry effort.
The farmers have invested a lot of time and money in replanting crops and getting rid of damaged stools and trying new varieties. And some blocks they couldn't all do in one hit. It took over a few years to get them right, and we're probably at the stage now where all the paddocks are pretty much that were damaged from the wet season and Yasi are now being replaced and producing good cane. It's been pretty phenomenal to see some of the crops. You know, normally this harvest can do about 8-9 kilometres an hour, and this year I've been going 3.5 kilometres an hour, 5-6 kilometres an hour is probably the norm, because the volume of cane that's going through the harvester, you just got to go steady and let it feed in.
Harvesting technology is one area where Sundown Harvesting is investing in a sustainable farming future. Today, John's at the controls of a new Case IH full-track harvester. A $600,000 investment, the machine is steered using a joystick and is equipped with cruise control and GPS navigation systems. The technology is ready to go for the new precision farming system that's being phased in by growers in the Sundown group.
We want to dig the ground up less, and we're trying to get into more precision farming, because with the precision farming, you keep the bin tractors on the hard soil, you keep the harvester on the hard soil, we look after the stool, we'll grow better cane. We only want to dig up where the stool is and look after the cane growing, because if you can look after cane growing and grow better cane and a bigger crop, that means we're going to have less grass. And with less grass means less chemical, and less chemical is better for the reef. And I love going to the reef, it's a beautiful place. That's one of the reasons why we're getting into GPS farming, is to get into more precision farming and not digging it up so much and trying to do all the right things by the weather.
Funded by Sundown Harvesting in partnership with the Australian Government Reef Program, the GPS systems on the planter and the harvester will assist growers meet industry best practice under Smart Cane BMP.
Being in the wet tropics here, we get a lot of rainfall at regular times, so if we, by having a GPS match system with the planter and the harvester's staying straight and it's not running over the other stools, particularly under wet conditions, and theoretically give the ratoons a much better chance to come back. Whereas we cut in wet conditions and we're running over stools and not seeing where we're going, and we're compacting the soil, compacting the stool, and we get poor ratoons as a result. When I come to a block, I can just program that paddock in and I can start. And especially if you've got a block that's badly sprawled cane and flat and you can't see where you're going, the theory is that you can go start a block at any point and you'll keep going in a straight row and you come out the other end in a straight row instead of jumping over 20-30 drills, which sometimes happen when you've got to break into the green cane.
The GPS system relies on a cane grower's Innisfail base station, set up several kilometres away to provide pinpoint accuracy in the field. It's a shared resource which growers in the district pay a small fee to access, at a fraction of the cost of installing their own base stations. It's early days yet for this grower group, but there's confidence productivity dividends will flow from technology that's giving farmers a real edge.
To make the harvester work properly, you need the rows to be straight, and more importantly than straight is even. because if the rows aren't even, the harvester won't sit even either. And then you get wide row, skinny row. I've been planting for a long time with the billet planter, and I cannot drive the tractor like that GPS drives the tractor. In a million years, you'll never drive it like that. GPS, you know, even on a bit of sideline on a little tiny slope, it drives it. I can't drive the tractor like that does. It keeps perfectly straight drills.
As a farming partnership of 4 families that's now into its 2nd generation, Sundown Harvesting is one example of smaller growers getting together to achieve economies of scale. By combining resources and sharing risk, the group is keeping pace with 21st century technology and meeting the highest environmental standards.
Sundown Harvesting cuts across about 750 hectares. This year we'll cut approximately 70,000 tonnes of cane, half of which belongs to the partners, and the other half belongs to other growers within our small area of influence, 9 other growers. So we've tried to establish ourselves as a group that's a little bit progressive. We try and have new machinery, and we finance new machinery and make repayments rather than trying to have a lot of repairs and maintenance every year.
It's a case of taking a concept that originally worked successfully on the harvesting side of the business and expanding it into most aspects of day-to-day farm management, allowing small growers to survive in a changing industry.
As a partnership, we've been able to finance machinery at a higher level, as in more sophisticated machinery, good haul-out equipment, good planting equipment, by taking an approach where you treat the equipment within the partnership model as a business. We've found that that can work for all of us together.
With many years of experience in the rural finance industry, Sam Spina is becoming increasingly convinced of the importance of smaller growers taking a cooperative approach to farming.
Probably 75% of growers that supply South Johnston Mill are under that 5,000 tonne or 100 acre mark. As individuals, those growers would not be able to invest in the machinery that we invest in. Things like, and I mean everybody knows, a new full track harvester, close to $600,000. GPS mapping and auto steer on that harvester, almost $35,000. Quite frankly, that grower would never be able to afford that sort of money from the margins that we make off cane farming. We believe it's important that we can continue to access that technology by utilising the cooperative model.
Sundown Harvesting's stool-splitting fertiliser box is a good example of how the cooperative farming approach is working. By applying granular fertiliser subsurface, it meets industry best practice under the Smart Cane BMP program, and it'll soon be upgraded with a variable rate controller that, of course, all of the farmers in the group will have access to. Combined with GPS technology, the variable rate system will ensure nutrient is applied where it's needed most, cutting down on fertiliser use.
Them different soil types want different rates of fertiliser. The way the old fertiliser box is set up is you put the one rate out on the whole farm pretty much. So we're looking at the variable rate to control. So some places we can put a certain amount of fertiliser, other places you put less fertiliser, and some places you might put more fertiliser because it might need a little bit more. And that'll be determined from your soil test we get every year.
The fertiliser box is also one example of how the Australian Government Reef Program is partnering with the Sundown Group and cane growers all over Queensland to minimise the impact of farming activities on the Great Barrier Reef. Funding provided by the program, often on a dollar-to-dollar basis, is helping growers meet the substantial capital outlays needed to improve their farming practices.
The reef program, instigated by the federal government, has been able to help us fund the GPS mapping and auto steer on our planting equipment. It's allowed us to invest in a bean planter, a minimum till bean planter, which we built on our own. We've also invested in GPS mapping and auto steer technology for the harvester, and we are currently waiting for the fertiliser box to have the variable rate drive installed on it. When we lodge our applications for the reef program funding, it's always better to go to those applications with a large amount of hectares under your belt. And I guess I can understand that. Not only government, but all of us want to be able to get the best bang for our buck. The best bang for our buck comes from being able to spend that sort of money and have a lot of hectares utilise that technology.
Delivering outcomes that protect the Great Barrier Reef brings benefits all round. For growers like Steve and Sam, it's about protecting their backyard, the magnificent Johnston River that flows into the Great Barrier Reef Lagoon.
I've heard people come and say, well, farmers are wrecking everything. I'd like some of them to come here and say, well, come here and show me what I'm wrecking, because I'm trying to do everything to keep my dirt on my farm, my cane on my farm, my fertiliser on my farm. I'm trying to use less and less chemical every year.
The Sundown Group, as a partnership, we all seem to be working towards the same goal, and that is to make our farms more profitable, to be able to utilise the best technology we can, and we're doing that by farming together, farming cooperatively. I'm hopeful in years to come that the technology that we're using, the profitability that we're able to achieve off our farms continues to make our farms better in the form of the water quality coming off our farms, and of course the fact that we are trying our very best to secure the future of the reef.